The Gabby Petito. She never made it home. In the summer of 2021, Gabby Petito, a 22-year-old dreamer with a passion for adventure, set out to live the van life fantasy with her fiancé Brian Laundrie. Their Instagram glowed with sunlit smiles and breathtaking vistas from rugged canyons to starlit campsites. A love story on wheels that captivated thousands. But behind the curated posts, a darker reality simmered. A relationship unraveling under the weight of control, coercion, and unspoken fears. This led to a tragedy that would grip the nation. The dream takes shape. Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie. High school sweethearts from Long Island, New York, shared a vision of freedom. They got engaged in 2020 and moved into Brian's parents' home in Northport, Florida. They saved for a 4-month road trip across America's national parks in a white Ford Transit van. Gabby, vibrant and creative, poured her heart into building a travel blog. She documented stops at Kansas's Monument Rocks, Utah's Zion and Bryce Canyon with their crimson cliffs and sweeping trails and beyond. To her growing followers, their journey was a modern fairy tale. But friends saw a different story. Gabby's best friend, Rose Davis, described Brian's controlling behavior. He once hid Gabby's wallet and ID to stop her from going out alone. Subtle but oppressive act. Text messages showed Gabby begging Brian to stop belittling her as her anxiety grew in the van's cramped space. As the walls seemed to close in under the mounting tension, experts describe coercive control as a pattern of domestic violence where abusers use isolation, intimidation, and degradation to dominate their partner. This form of abuse seeks to control and manipulate the victim's life. For Gabby, the van wasn't just a home, it was a pressure cooker amplifying Brian's dominance. The Moab Incident. On August 12, 2021, a 911 call shattered the illusion near Arches National Park in Moab, Utah, where red rock spires loomed under a blazing sun. A witness reported seeing Brian slap Gabby outside their van. Police arrived to find Gabby sobbing, her voice trembling as she struggled to explain a heated argument over her obsessive-compulsive tendencies. She admitted hitting Brian first, panicked when he tried to push her out of the van and drive away, fearing abandonment. Officers noted scratches on Brian, but also saw bruises on Gabby's face. Later revealed in a selfie released by her family's lawyer, Brian, calm and collected, claimed he was de-escalating by urging Gabby to walk away. The officers, seeing no severe injuries, labeled it a mental health crisis, not domestic violence. They separated the couple for the night. Brian to a motel and Gabby to the van. A legal analysis found the Moab officers misapplied Utah's mandatory arrest law. State statute requires an arrest if probable cause exists for domestic violence, regardless of victim testimony. Witness reports of Brian's aggression, combined with Gabby's injuries, could have supported such an arrest. The failure to enforce the statute left Gabby vulnerable. This was not only a missed opportunity, it was a systemic failure of law enforcement to recognize coercive control and domestic abuse dynamics. The final days. Gabby and Brian pressed on to Grand Teton National Park, where jagged peaks and alpine meadows stretched under a vast Wyoming sky. On August 24th, Gabby FaceTimed her mother Nicole Schmidt from Salt Lake City. Her smile strained, the last time her family saw her alive. On August 27th, the text from Gabby's phone arrived, reading, "Can you help Stan? I just keep getting his voicemails and missed calls." Nicole knew something was off right away because Gabby never called her grandfather Stan by his first name. It felt wrong, out of character, like the words didn't match her daughter's voice. Then, on August 30th, another message came. No service in Yosemite. Their plans were for Yellowstone, not Yosemite, hundreds of miles away in California. Nicole's gut twisted. This wasn't Gabby. The texts stopped there, the phone going silent. On August 29th, witnesses Miranda Baker and Norma Jean Jalovic saw Brian hitchhiking alone near Coulter Bay Village, claiming Gabby was back at the van working on her blog. According to Norma Jean Jalovic, his story was shaky, his demeanor nervous, sweat beading on his brow under the summer heat. On August 29th, he made nearly 20 frantic calls to his parents over 2 days, saying Gabby was gone and he needed a lawyer. A $700 transaction from Gabby's account to Brian's, labeled goodbye, raised alarms. Investigators later confirmed Brian sent these messages to fake Gabby's survival. On September 1st, Brian arrived at his parents' home in Northport, Florida, driving Gabby's van alone. The search ignites. Unable to reach her, Gabby's family reported her missing on September 11th. Police visited the Laundrie home, but Brian and his parents stonewalled, directing all questions to their attorney, Stephen Bertolino. Gabby's Instagram, frozen after August 25th, became a digital crime scene. Internet sleuths spotted inconsistencies in timestamps and captions, poring over every pixel for clues. A YouTube couple's dashcam footage showed Gabby's van parked near Spread Creek in Grand Teton. The van's white frame stood out starkly against the wilderness, becoming a breakthrough lead. The footage pinpointed a remote camping area, prompting authorities to focus their search there. Teams scoured the rugged terrain, combing through dense brush and rocky paths under mounting public pressure. On September 19th, their efforts uncovered a grim discovery: a body in the Spread Creek area. Gabby's stepfather, Jim Schmidt, confirmed the worst. An autopsy revealed Gabby died from blunt force trauma and strangulation. Her death ruled a homicide. Social media didn't just amplify Gabby's case, it solved it. Crowdsourced detective work filled gaps where authorities lagged. Brian's flight and confession. On September 1st, Brian returned home in Gabby's van, but without her. For the next 2 weeks, he stayed low, mowing the lawn and going on bike rides with his mother, acting as if nothing was wrong. The family went on a camping trip together from September 6th to 8th, packing up and heading to Fort DeSoto Park. They spent time in tents and around campfires, showing no outward signs of distress. Despite calls from Gabby's worried family, the Laundries refused to respond, hiring a lawyer and shutting down all communication. As public scrutiny grew, with neighbors noticing the van and rumors spreading online, Brian faced increasing isolation. Angry crowds gathered outside the Laundrie parents' home in Northport and Cassie's home in Lakewood Ranch, chanting for justice and demanding answers. The Laundrie parents remained silent, refusing to engage. Meanwhile, Cassie confronted the protesters, saying she was just as upset and heartbroken as everyone else, that the chants were upsetting her children, and insisting her family had nothing to hide and was cooperating with the FBI. Yet the family's overall silence only fueled more outrage. News outlets flooded airwaves with round-the-clock coverage, amplifying the public's demand for answers. As pressure mounted, Brian was named a person of interest on September 15th. 2 days later, his parents claimed he went hiking in Florida's T. Mabry-Carlton Reserve and never returned. For weeks, authorities combed the 24,000-acre swamp, its murky waters and tangled mangroves hiding secrets. On October 20th, skeletal remains were found alongside a backpack, revolver, and notebook. Dental records confirmed it was Brian. The notebook held a confession. Brian wrote he took Gabby's life, claiming it was a mercy killing after she suffered a bizarre accident. Gabby's family dismissed the confession as fabricated, insisting Brian's motive was domination, not compassion. His death by a self-inflicted gunshot was ruled a suicide. Legal battles and unanswered questions. Gabby's parents, Joe Petito and Nicole Schmidt, transformed their grief into action. They founded the Gabby Petito Foundation to combat domestic violence and support missing persons cases. They sued Brian's parents, alleging they knew Gabby was dead while publicly expressing hope for her return. A letter from Roberta Laundrie found in Brian's backpack intensified suspicions. Marked burn after reading, it offered to help dispose of a body or bake a cake with a file if Brian was jailed. Roberta claimed it was a pre-trip note tied to childhood stories. The Petitos saw it as evidence of complicity. In 2022, the Petitos won a $3 million wrongful death settlement against Brian's estate, though payment was unlikely due to limited funds. In 2024, an emotional distress lawsuit against the Laundries settled privately. In November 2024, a lawsuit against Moab police for negligence during the August 12th stop was dismissed due to legal protections shielding the officers. This left Gabby's parents standing solemnly outside the courthouse with unresolved grief. After the settlements, the Laundries retreated from public view, reportedly staying in Northport under lingering community scrutiny. Their lives were marked by silence and isolation as neighbors whispered about their role. Cassie, however, has cut ties with her parents, remaining no contact for nearly 2 years as of 2025. Focusing instead on mental health advocacy and family life away from the spotlight. These legal barriers left the Petitos with more questions than answers about accountability. The Laundrie family's silence in that letter raised questions we may never answer. Did they know more than they admitted? The settlements closed the legal chapter, but not the mystery. A global impact. Gabby's story reverberated worldwide. Online communities on TikTok and Reddit played a key role in the investigation. By examining mismatched timestamps in Gabby's posts and interpreting Brian's cryptic comments, they uncovered hidden clues. Social media transformed into a virtual detective hub as a result. The February 2025 Netflix documentary American Murder, Gabby Petito reignited discussions about abusive relationships. Dozens of young people, particularly in Australia, reached out to the Petito family to share their own experiences of similar abuse. Their voices echoed Gabby's silent cries. Through their attorney, the Laundries criticized the documentary for inaccuracies and sensationalism, arguing that it misrepresented their actions and compounded their family's pain. But the case also drew criticism for missing white woman syndrome, as Gabby's media coverage dwarfed that of hundreds of missing Indigenous women in the same region. Indigenous advocacy groups pointed out that in Wyoming alone, 710 Indigenous people were reported missing between 2011 and 2020, most cases receiving little to no national attention. By contrast, Gabby's disappearance dominated headlines globally. This disparity raised urgent questions about systemic bias in media coverage and policing priorities. Conclusion: Gabby Petito's life was more than a headline. She was a dreamer, an artist, a young woman chasing freedom across America's open roads. Her death exposed the hidden dangers of coercive control, the failures of systems meant to protect, and the inequalities in how society values victims. Through the Gabby Petito Foundation, her family ensures her light shines on, saving others from the shadows she could not escape. We may never know the full truth of that summer, but Gabby's story demands we listen, learn the signs of abuse, and act before another life is lost. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, your like or subscription would truly encourage me to keep going.